Most American women over 60 only wear about 20% of their closet, while the rest sits untouched, silently draining energy, confidence, and even joy. Think about that for a moment. Every hanger that holds a dress you'll never wear again, every pair of shoes that pinch your feet, every coat that hasn't seen daylight in years, it all takes up more than space. It takes up your peace of mind. Imagine walking into a closet where every single piece makes you feel good today, not guilty about yesterday or anxious about tomorrow. That's the kind of freedom we're talking about. And here's the truth. Your wardrobe should serve the woman you are now, not the one you used to be or the one you think you should be someday. That's why in this video, we're going to uncover the 10 wardrobe items that older women must toss now if they want to feel lighter, safer, and more confident every single day. These aren't the same old decluttering tips you've heard 100 times. Each item comes with a surprising reason why holding onto it is secretly weighing you down, and why letting go will feel like a breath of fresh air. Before we dive in, hit that like button and subscribe right now if you're ready to finally take back your closet. And trust me, you'll want to stay with me all the way to the end, because item number 7 is the one most women cling to without realizing how much it's aging their look and holding them back. Mabel Jones was 68 years old, living in a quiet town in North Carolina, and like many women her age, she had a closet that told the story of her life. On the surface, it looked impressive: rows of blouses, neatly folded sweaters, skirts pressed flat, and shoes tucked into their boxes. But behind that closet door was a struggle she rarely admitted to anyone. She kept her old office clothes from the years she worked as a legal secretary, blazers and pencil skirts she hadn't touched in more than a decade. Next to them hung elegant dresses she once wore to weddings, charity dinners, and Christmas parties, occasions that no longer filled her calendar. And tucked further back were outfits bought with hope, the someday pieces she swore she'd wear once she lost a few pounds or once the right event finally came along. Every morning, she would stand in front of this packed closet, glance at hanger after hanger, and sigh, "I have nothing to wear." It wasn't about having no clothes, it was about having no clothes that felt like her anymore. Her closet was overflowing, yet her choices felt empty. That's because her wardrobe wasn't just fabric and thread, it was layers of her past, stitched with memories she couldn't let go of, guilt about money spent, and even fear that letting go of certain items meant letting go of who she used to be. This is something so many women over 60 quietly live with. A closet becomes more than storage. It becomes a museum of identities, professional, glamorous, hopeful, that may no longer match the reality of today. And the weight of those clothes isn't just physical, it's emotional. Mabel didn't realize it at first, but keeping all those clothes kept her stuck in limbo, between the woman she once was and the woman she still had the chance to be. Her story reminds us that decluttering isn't only about space. It's about releasing what no longer reflects our life today so that we can step into each morning lighter, freer, and fully present in who we are now. Item 1. The someday clothes. The first category of clothing that clutters up closets for so many women over 60 is what I like to call the someday clothes. You know the ones. They're the jeans you swore you'd fit back into after dropping 10 pounds, the cocktail dress you imagined wearing to a special dinner that never happened, or that brightly patterned blouse you bought on sale thinking, "I'll wear this when I finally feel bold enough." They hang quietly in the background, often untouched for years, but they carry a weight heavier than the fabric itself. The truth is, those someday clothes are not just taking up space on a hanger, they're taking up emotional space in your life. Every time you see them, you're reminded of something you haven't done, a goal you didn't reach, or a version of yourself you haven't become. Instead of bringing joy, they whisper guilt. They turn a simple morning routine into a moment of self-criticism. And over time, that silent judgment chips away at your confidence. Here's the insight most people don't talk about. When you hold onto someday clothes, you're not keeping hope alive, you're keeping yourself tethered to regret. And regret is the last thing you need when getting dressed each morning. At 60, 70, or 80, your wardrobe should serve the life you're living now, not punish you for a life you might never live. Clothes are meant to make you feel good today, not guilty about yesterday or anxious about tomorrow. Mabel Jones had a whole section of her closet dedicated to these someday outfits. A slim black skirt from her 40s. A sequined top she bought for a cruise that never happened. Even a pair of heels she swore she'd wear once she got used to them. But the longer those pieces stayed, the more they whispered that her best days were behind her, or that she wasn't enough as she was now. When she finally let them go, she said it felt like taking a deep breath after holding it in for years. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. It means making room for clothes that actually fit your body, your lifestyle, and your joy in the present moment. Imagine opening your closet and knowing that every single piece you touch is wearable, flattering, and ready for the life you have today. That kind of freedom is worth far more than holding on to a dress that makes you sigh with disappointment. So here's my question for you. Do you still keep a someday dress in your closet? Tell us in the comments, because you're not alone, and talking about it is the first step toward letting go. Item 2. Shoes that secretly hurt. The second hidden culprit in so many closets belongs to the category of shoes that secretly hurt. Almost every woman over 60 has at least a few pairs. They might be those elegant high heels that once made you feel powerful and unstoppable. Or the stiff, narrow flats you convinced yourself were sensible, but left your toes aching after an hour. Some women even hold on to shoes that were uncomfortable from the very beginning, hoping one day they'd somehow break in. Here's the hard truth. Shoes that hurt your feet don't just cause short-term pain, they can actually become a long-term health risk. Recent senior health reports in the United States show a direct connection between unsafe footwear and increased risk of falls. And falls are no small matter. For women over 60, they are one of the leading causes of injury, hospital visits, and even loss of independence. The shoes sitting in your closet aren't just a style choice. They can be the difference between feeling secure on your feet or facing a dangerous accident. Maybelle Jones learned this the hard way. For years, she clung to her favorite pair of 3-inch pumps. She rarely wore them anymore, but she couldn't let go. "They made me feel like myself," she told me. Then, at her granddaughter's birthday party, she tried to wear them for old time's sake. Within an hour, her ankle twisted, and she nearly fell carrying a tray of cupcakes. Thankfully, she caught herself against the wall. But that scare was enough to make her realize that no pair of shoes was worth risking her safety or her dignity. This is where many seniors get caught. They think, "I'll just keep them. What's the harm?" But the harm is subtle. Those shoes take up space in your closet and in your mind. They remind you of a version of yourself who no longer exists, and they trick you into believing that holding on to pain is better than facing the reality of change. Yet the reality is far kinder. Comfort does not mean giving up style. Today, there are countless brands creating supportive, elegant shoes designed specifically for older women. Shoes that allow you to walk with confidence, stability, and grace. Here's the emotional truth. If a shoe makes you wince, it doesn't deserve to be in your closet. Your steps should be celebrated, not sabotaged. Every walk to the mailbox, every trip to the grocery store, every stroll with a friend should feel secure, comfortable, and freeing. So open your closet, pull out those pairs that pinch, wobble, or weigh you down, and ask yourself honestly, do they serve your life now, or are they quietly stealing your confidence? I'll leave you with this thought. If it hurts your steps, it doesn't deserve your closet. Would you be willing to trade one painful pair of shoes for a single pair that makes you feel stable, elegant, and ready to move forward? Share your answer in the comments. I guarantee many other women are wrestling with the same decision. Item 3. The faded favorites. The third sneaky source of closet clutter is what I call the faded favorites. These are the tops, pants, or cardigans you once loved so much you wore them endlessly, until the colors dulled, the fabric stretched, and the seams began to sag. At one time, they made you feel beautiful and confident. Now, they sit in the back of your closet like ghosts of your former style, rarely worn but hard to part with. The tricky thing about faded favorites is the memories they carry. That soft blue sweater might remind you of family holidays, or those jeans may take you back to your first trip out west. The fabric may be worn thin, but the emotions remain thick. And because of that, letting them go can feel like losing a piece of your history. But here's the truth. Wearing those items today doesn't honor your past, it hides your present. Your wardrobe should reflect the vibrant woman you are now, not a faded version of who you once were. When you put on an old, stretched-out shirt, Does it make you walk taller? Does it bring a smile when you see yourself in the mirror? Or does it simply whisper of years gone by? Clothing at this stage of life should lift your spirit, not weigh you down with nostalgia that doesn't serve you anymore. Mabel Joan knew this struggle well. She had a floral blouse she adored in her 50s. By her late 60s, the colors had dulled, but the memories of family gatherings kept her holding on. Finally, she realized she didn't need the blouse to keep the memories. She took one last photo wearing it, then donated it. That simple act gave her closet breathing room and gave her confidence a lift. Here's your takeaway: you don't need faded clothes to hold on to memories. Memories live in you, not in fabric. What you deserve now are clothes that reflect your vitality today. So ask yourself, what's the oldest item in your closet? Share it below. You might discover how freeing it feels to finally let a faded favorite go. Item 4. Heavy coats you don't wear. Another category that silently swallows up closet space for many women over 60 is the heavy coats you don't wear anymore. These are the big, bulky, sometimes decades-old coats that seemed essential in the past but now only sit idle on a hanger. They might be long wool overcoats from your working days, thick faux fur jackets saved for fancy occasions, or oversized puffers that feel more like armor than outerwear. The problem isn't just that they are taking up space, it's that they no longer fit the lifestyle you're living today. Fashion and practicality for seniors have shifted dramatically in the United States. Current trends lean toward lightweight, layered pieces, comfortable jackets, cozy cardigans, and stylish yet functional outerwear. Instead of one giant coat that strains your shoulders and overheats you, today's approach is about flexibility, adding and removing layers depending on the weather. For older adults, this isn't just about style, it's about health. Overheating, restricted movement, and the risk of tripping over long, bulky coats can all quietly increase the chance of accidents. When clothing becomes a hazard, it stops serving you. For Mabel Joan, coats were the hardest thing to let go of. She had a long navy wool coat she bought in her 40s, back when she commuted downtown every winter. She hadn't worn it in years, it was far too heavy, and just lifting it off the hanger made her back ache. But every time she reached for it, she told herself, "What if I need it someday?" That someday never came. One cold evening, she chose instead a lightweight quilted jacket layered over a soft sweater. It kept her warmer, let her move freely, and felt more like herself. At that moment, she realized her old wool coat wasn't protecting her anymore, it was holding her back. Here's the emotional truth: a coat should feel like a warm hug, not a weight on your shoulders. It should comfort you when you step out the door, not leave you burdened by heaviness you no longer need. By letting go of bulky, outdated coats, you're not losing warmth, you're gaining ease, safety, and space for outerwear that actually supports the way you live now. So open your closet and take an honest look. Do you have coats you haven't worn in years, but keep just in case? Ask yourself if they still serve your body, your comfort, and your lifestyle today. Because the right coat doesn't just keep out the cold, it makes you feel free, confident, and ready to embrace the season of life you're in right now. Item 5. Overly formal dresses. One of the biggest space takers in closets after 60 is the overly formal dress. These are the gowns, cocktail dresses, and special occasion outfits once bought for weddings, banquets, or galas. At the time, they felt like smart investments, worn for one night, then tucked away just in case. The reality? Most women wear these dresses once a decade, if that. Yet they remain in closets for years, silently taking up space that could be better used. The challenge is emotional. These dresses aren't just clothes, they're memories stitched into fabric. Maybe it's the sequined gown you wore to your daughter's wedding, the satin dress from a retirement banquet, or the beaded number from a New Year's Eve party in your 40s. When you see them, you don't just see fabric, you see photographs, laughter, music, and a version of yourself from long ago. That makes letting go feel like losing a piece of your history. But here's the key question: are you keeping the dress for the memory, or for the person you once were when you wore it? For women over 60 today, life looks different. Most aren't attending black tie galas regularly. Instead, calendars fill with family gatherings, church events, community clubs, and casual outings. which means rows of unworn dresses often sit untouched, serving no purpose. Mabel Joan knew this struggle well. She had a ruby red gown from a banquet 15 years ago. Every time she passed it, she thought, maybe I'll wear it again. Deep down, she knew it no longer fit her lifestyle. Eventually, she donated it to a senior center that provided formal wear for women in need. That gown ended up shining at another woman's granddaughter's wedding. Mabel said she realized the dress had more value in someone else's life than gathering dust in hers. Here's the fresh perspective. Holding on to overly formal dresses doesn't honor the past, it clutters the present. Donating them allows those garments to keep creating memories for others, while giving you back space and freedom. Your closet should reflect who you are now, not the rare occasions of decades past. So ask yourself, do you still have formal dresses waiting for an event that may never come? If so, maybe it's time to let them live a new story elsewhere, while you enjoy the ease and confidence of clothes that serve your life today. Item 6. Jewelry that tangles and tarnishes. Another sneaky form of clutter hiding in many seniors' closets isn't hanging on a hanger at all. It's tucked away in little boxes, drawers, or trays. I'm talking about jewelry that tangles and tarnishes. For many women, especially those over 60, jewelry has been collected over decades. Costume necklaces from the 70s, chunky bracelets from the 80s, bargain earrings bought because they were too cheap to pass up. Over time, the collection grows and grows, until it's no longer a collection of treasures, it's a jumble of forgotten pieces. The problem isn't only the clutter, it's the effect it has on the jewelry that does matter. When your favorite gold locket or pearl earrings are buried under layers of tangled chains and tarnished costume jewelry, they become harder to find, harder to enjoy, and easier to forget about. And here's the emotional truth. When clutter hides your treasures, even the most special pieces lose their sparkle. That necklace from your anniversary or the bracelet gifted by your grandchild deserves to be worn, not lost in a knot of cheap trinkets. For Mabel Joan, jewelry was one of the toughest categories. She had boxes full of pieces she hadn't worn in years. Some were discolored, others were out of style. And yet, every time she opened the box, she felt a wave of overwhelm. What if I throw away something valuable? She asked herself. But the irony was that by keeping everything, she was robbing herself of the joy of the pieces that truly were valuable to her heart, if not her wallet. Eventually, she set aside a quiet afternoon to sort through it all. She let go of the tangled, tarnished, and forgotten items, and kept only the timeless pieces she wore with pride. The next time she opened her jewelry box, it didn't feel like a burden, it felt like joy. Here's the actionable fix: stop letting clutter drown out your treasures. Keep only the timeless pieces you actually wear, the ones that make you feel confident, elegant, and true to yourself. Whether that's a classic pair of studs, a silver chain you reach for every week, or a family heirloom you wear with pride, those are the pieces worth keeping close. The rest? Let them go. Donate, gift, or recycle them, and you'll be amazed at how much lighter your mornings feel. Take a moment to think, what's hiding in your jewelry box right now? Is it filled with memories you actually use, or with clutter that steals the spotlight? Item 7. The age you clothes. One of the most overlooked categories of clothing in closets over 60 is what I call the age you clothes. These aren't necessarily worn out or uncomfortable, they might even still be in decent shape. The problem is that the cut, the fit, or the overall style unintentionally makes you look older than you feel. Think of those stiff, boxy blouses that hang shapelessly, the shoulder-padded jackets that haven't been in style since the early 90s, or the skirts with outdated hems that add years instead of confidence. At the time, they were fashionable. But now, they can quietly send a message that doesn't reflect the vibrant, capable woman you are today. The emotional trap here is powerful. Many women keep these clothes because they feel safe. They are familiar, they cover the body, and they seem practical. But here's the truth: practical doesn't have to mean frumpy. When you wear something that drags your appearance down, it doesn't just affect how others see you, it affects how you see yourself. Clothing should lift your spirit, give you energy, and make you feel proud when you catch your reflection in the mirror. If instead it makes you blend into the background or feel like you're wearing someone else's identity, then it's quietly stealing your confidence. Mabel Joan had a whole row of these age you clothes. She called them her safe pieces, but deep down, she knew they were doing her no favors. One day, her granddaughter snapped a candid photo of her at a family picnic. Mabel was wearing a boxy pastel blouse she had owned for years. When she saw the picture, she didn't recognize herself at first. "I look tired," she thought, not because she was, but because her clothes made her appear older and heavier than she felt inside. That moment sparked her decision to finally let those items go. Here's the empowering takeaway: you don't need to dress like you're 20, but you also don't need to wear clothes that fast-forward you 10 years beyond your age. Today's fashion for older women in the United States offers countless options that are modern, flattering, and comfortable without sacrificing dignity. Let your wardrobe reflect your vitality, not dim it. And don't go anywhere, because the next item is one that surprises almost every woman I speak to. It's something most closets hide in plain sight, and once you see the hidden problem, you'll never look at it the same way again. Item 8. Worn-out elastic pants. Another category that often sneaks under the radar in closets after 60 is worn-out elastic pants. For decades, elastic waistbands have been a go-to for comfort. They're easy to slip on, forgiving around the middle, and practical for daily wear. But over time, those waistbands stretch out, the fabric starts to sag, and what was once your favorite comfy pair begins to make you look and feel older than you truly are. They stop being comfortable and start being careless. The problem with saggy elastic pants is that they send a message you may not even realize. Instead of saying, "I value comfort and confidence," they whisper, "I've given up on how I look." And that's not the story you want your wardrobe to tell. Comfort doesn't have to mean careless. Today's clothing industry has embraced seniors in ways it never did before. In the United States, more brands are designing pants with soft, flexible waistbands, breathable fabrics, and flattering cuts that give you the ease you love without the droopiness you don't. You can move freely, feel good, and still look polished. Mabel Joan admitted that she had 3 pairs of elastic pants she wore almost every week. At first, they felt like her safe choice. But then she noticed how unflattering they had become. They sagged in the back, bunched at the waist, and made her feel older than she actually felt inside. One afternoon, she finally tried on a pair of modern stretch trousers her daughter had given her as a gift. The difference was immediate. She looked slimmer, stood taller, and most importantly, she felt better. That moment reminded her that clothes aren't just fabric, they influence how you carry yourself. Here's the shift: replacing worn-out elastic pants doesn't mean sacrificing comfort. It means upgrading to clothes that respect your body today. You deserve to wear pants that make you want to walk a little taller, not ones that leave you tugging and adjusting. So let me ask you, would you trade 2 worn-out pairs of pants for one that makes you feel amazing? Comment yes or no below. You'll be surprised how many women are ready to admit the same thing, and how freeing it feels to finally make the switch. Item 9. Forgotten accessories. Another overlooked source of closet clutter is forgotten accessories. These are the scarves that have been sitting in a drawer since the early 2000s, the belts that no longer fit your shape or style, and the purses you thought you'd use for the right occasion but never actually carried. Accessories are supposed to complete an outfit, but when they pile up unused, they turn into dust collectors instead of confidence boosters. The emotional trap with accessories is subtle. Unlike a dress or pair of shoes, scarves, belts, and bags often feel small, so it's easy to justify keeping them. It doesn't take up much space, you tell yourself. But when a drawer is overflowing with tangled belts or a shelf is stacked with handbags you haven't touched in years, the result is the same: clutter that overwhelms you and makes it harder to find the few pieces you truly love. Instead of reaching for the perfect scarf that lifts your outfit, you find yourself digging through piles, frustrated and uninspired. Across the United States, more seniors are embracing the idea of minimalism when it comes to accessories. The trend isn't about owning nothing, it's about owning fewer, better pieces. A well-chosen handbag that goes with everything. A classic scarf that adds elegance without fuss. A simple belt that fits and flatters. These are the items that deserve a place in your closet, not the dozens of extras you haven't worn in years. Mabel Joan learned this lesson when she finally pulled out a storage box filled with old handbags. Some were cracked, Some had zippers that barely worked, and a few she had completely forgotten about. She realized she was keeping them not because she loved them, but because she felt guilty about the money she once spent. The breakthrough came when she narrowed her collection down to 3, a sleek everyday bag, a small evening clutch, and a crossbody that made errands easier. For the first time, she didn't feel buried under clutter, she felt polished and prepared. Here's the truth: accessories should spark joy, not collect dust. They should be the finishing touch that makes you smile in the mirror, not another burden hiding in the corner. So ask yourself, are you holding on to accessories that no longer serve you, or are you curating the few that truly bring you joy? Item 10. Clothes with hidden risks. One of the most surprising categories of clothing that many seniors overlook is what I call clothes with hidden risks. On the surface, these items don't look problematic at all, they may even seem stylish or elegant. But the danger lies in how they move when you move. Long skirts that skim the floor, wide hems that catch on shoes, or pants that drag just a little too long can all quietly increase your risk of tripping. At younger ages, these slips might be brushed off. But after 60, one bad fall can lead to serious consequences, injuries that affect independence, mobility, and confidence. Fall prevention experts across the United States emphasize that what we wear is just as important as the shoes we step into. While we often think of clutter on the floor as the main hazard, the truth is that clothing itself can become part of the problem. Imagine walking up a flight of stairs while your skirt catches on your heel, or navigating a crowded room while wide pants brush underfoot. It only takes one misstep for fabric to turn from fashion into danger. For Mabel Jones, this realization was eye-opening. She had a beautiful long skirt she adored, bought years ago for Sunday services. Though she loved the flowing look, one morning as she hurried to answer the phone, she stepped on the hem and nearly fell forward. It shook her to realize that something as simple as a skirt could put her at risk inside her own home. After that, she began re-evaluating her wardrobe not just for style, but for safety. She started choosing pieces that allowed her to move freely, clothes that looked good and protected her. Here's the emotional truth: your wardrobe should give you freedom, not fear. It should allow you to walk confidently, bend, stretch, and go about your day without worry. Safety doesn't mean sacrificing elegance, it means choosing clothing that honors both your style and your well-being. Today's fashion offers countless options that are flattering, modern, and safe for everyday living. So take a moment to ask yourself, do you have skirts, pants, or dresses in your closet that could trip you up when you least expect it? If the answer is yes, it's time to let them go. Because your closet should never put your safety in danger. When Mabel Jones finally took the brave step of letting go, something remarkable happened. She didn't just clear space in her closet, she cleared space in her life. At first, it was difficult. Each item she held carried a memory, a what-if, or a small piece of her past. But as she worked through it, she began to see the freedom on the other side. In the end, she cut her wardrobe in half, yet somehow doubled her confidence. The clothes that remained weren't reminders of what she used to be, or punishments for goals she never reached. They were clothes that reflected the woman she was right now, vibrant, wise, and still evolving. For Mabel, the shift was immediate. She no longer dreaded opening her closet each morning. Instead, she felt lighter, safer, and even proud every time she slid open the door. Choosing an outfit stopped being stressful, it became enjoyable again. She no longer faced the silent guilt of someday clothes, or the discomfort of shoes that pinched, or the weight of coats that belonged to a life she no longer lived. Instead, her closet became a source of joy, a space where every piece she touched brought confidence and comfort. The emotional resolution was powerful. For the first time in years, I dressed without stress, only joy. That joy rippled out into her daily life. She walked taller, smiled more often, and even started accepting more invitations to spend time with family and friends. Her transformation wasn't just about clothing, it was about reclaiming energy, dignity, and freedom. And here's the takeaway for you: your closet should not be a museum of your past. It shouldn't hold artifacts that weigh you down with guilt, regret, or fear. Instead, it should be a celebration of who you are today and who you're still becoming. Every hanger, every drawer, Every shelf should serve your life as it is now, not as it once was. So let me ask you, if even one of these items is still hanging in your wardrobe, what's stopping you from letting it go? This is your chance to take back your space and your confidence. If this message resonates, hit like, share this with a friend over 60, and subscribe to Wise Aging Seniors, because your next chapter deserves to feel lighter, freer, and beautifully yours.